wanna be the best in the game, invest in my name, check no restraints, I'm obsessed with the pain. I ingest, I retain, assess and I change, possessed by the thought I'll be free one day from society's restraints. Money, clout and fame, mud, disease, a plague. We all love to hate, have to play the game, have to make a name. All our insecurities are on display. This is war with the enemy, think that it was meant to be. Living in a...
Hello and welcome, listeners, to another episode of Tactical Awareness. It's Season 2, Episode 7, and I am Ash. I am joined tonight by Owen and Dan to talk about Acheron Falls, the new spaceship game, which will be, I guess, it's at the time of listening to this for you guys, will be done its funding campaign, and that Owen and Dan are excited about. So let's dive in, talk about what we're doing in Infinity this week, and then talk about this new spaceship game, collaboration from Corvus Belli.
Makes it that when I ask this question, it's actually recorded. I was going to ask you guys got decks yet?
Nope.
No.
You're
not only do we not have decks, the local store here, if you ask them if they're getting decks or can you order decks, they're not even in their system.
Weird, because we had them in Ontario.
This is a common case for a lot of stuff, and I don't know who's in charge or what's going on, but our local, as amazing as they are, they're also just garbage at ordering new things.
And even any of the online stores are all sold out. So
no, of course they are. Yeah. That was going to happen. The initial shipment's going to get snapped up immediately, which is why when I saw them in stock, I was just like, I will buy as many as I can.
They keep on blaming the distributor, but I don't know.
Well, I don't know. Maybe they just didn't get that much allocation. Maybe there's I wonder if they're online. I wonder if we can look online and see if they're available from US stores, because that might even be easier, or Amazon. Did that occur to you guys? Like on Amazon?
I'll just wait.
Yeah, I don't care. Like, ultimately, even if I got one, right? Like, if I went to Amazon or I went US and I ordered something at a premium essentially to get it, every person I play with won't have them.
So yeah, I know you're right. It won't matter. It won't matter at that point. I'm just curious. I'm just curious if they're having the same stock issues. That's the thing I was curious about.
I see. Yeah, no cards for us. We play old season forever.
It's more than I'm really excited. I guess I'll be the first one to play a resilience operation. I guess you could print and play off the skins.
Yeah.
Do not see them. Infinity operations deck. There's also deck boxes on Miniature Market. Infinity operations deck. No, I don't see it on here. Infinity operations. No, it's not a Miniature Market at all. Weird. Then maybe Warsenal, because they're distributing now, I think, or they have it. Maybe Warsenal will have them. The operations deck. It just seems weird that it's not here. It feels like all these major players would have it. Infinity operations deck. God, the pre-painted Warsenal train is so nice. Oh, it's sold out on Warsenal too. Wow. And they were $20? What? How did I get them cheaper in Canada? Oh, it's because you know what it is? It's because there's a distribution option. You can buy a box of 10 or a single. And they're sold out too. So if Warsenal's sold out, everybody's sold out. It means they came and they're gone. Yeah, because they're just super gone then. Crazy. Well, I mean, that always happens. It is the most in-demand item for the duration of the thing. I do hope that they make it available somehow, because it's going to be hard. We can't really run a tournament, neither can you guys, until we can, you know what I mean? But
I'm doing it anyway.
I know, it just doesn't, to me, it's I don't know. It feels like I want to really be excited about 15 and playing 15 all the way with all the perks and bells and whistles. I don't know, it just sucks that you can't get them right away when it's most exciting to have a new edition. And I really want to run as the first event for TACWare for the year. I want to run a Resilience Ops tournament. I want to run one that's not mission selection, right? Where we generate the missions. We generate 3 missions over the course of the tournament. And then maybe do a custom mission for the end.
Yeah, I like that, but I want to play Infinity. And so we're going to run an event using the old cards because there is no choice.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Well, I guess it's time to dive in then and talk about the week and what everybody did. I wanted to update everybody on the Escalation League. I'm 3 out of 5 games in. and hear what you guys have been doing. Dan, I guess you've been painting Troggoths. So you're
Yeah.
deep in it right now.
I was like, every time I'm like, okay, I've painted enough, and I'm like, no, one more, and I'm just like, it's like, oh, so fun. But now I'm like, okay, next on the palette, Sujan. I've talked about it for like 3 weeks now. Maybe it'll actually get painted this week.
It is nice to like. That is the one thing I notice with Infinity. Like when I paint like a mass combat game army, and you have to like slog your way through like 30 core infantry or something like that. You got to do like a big unit of something, and then that doesn't even super change your list that much, you know. But then you paint like 2 models in Infinity, and it can like massively change your army list. It's almost like I do like painting big miniatures, take a break from like the fiddliness of Infinity models every now and again. But then when you come back and you're like, I can just paint this one guy, and my list is completely different. It's kind of refreshing. I don't think anyone begrudges you painting a new army though, because you painted so much with 12 stuff last season.
It's weird with Infinity. Like I've said many times, I've never been a big fan of the models, and they've grown on me. But it's like I'm not excited to paint them almost ever. Sometimes they're like not too hard to paint, and it's like you just kind of get through it. But it's kind of like I had some motivation for a while, I guess, and maybe it's too similar of the things you're painting. Where it's like I was painting like stone trolls and some river trolls, and some big trolls, and some medium trolls, and it's like it's just so vastly different. It's just like
Yeah.
So I'll get back to it.
In the beginning, though, you were painting for options. You know what I mean? When you're painting your 12, you're like, wow, I've painted all these remotes. Now I'm painting all these heavy. You know what I mean? Like you're painting to like try something like totally different.
I think I've almost painted as much Yujing as I have for 12.
Really?
Mm,
What do you got painted so far? I haven't actually heard any updates on what you've painted.
well, just a ton of remotes, right?
Right, yeah, all your Hollow Echo stuff.
Yeah. So that's like 15, 20 remotes.
Jesus, so many.
Just so I can have all the
So many
remotes.
remotes.
All of the thing. And you max AVA anytime, anywhere. Got it.
That's wild.
Then I found out they weren't even good that way. And so then I was like, fine. But I have them. Just so I can say I've played it.
Just so that you can have done the skew.
It's funny because when I like every time I bring it to the table, everyone's like, ugh. And then they slaughter me and I'm like, what were you complaining about? Maybe I'm just bad at Infinity.
Did you go to the tournament that Owen went to on the weekend?
There was no tournament on the weekend yet. That's on the 25th.
Oh, sorry. I thought that you played a bunch of games this weekend and that was the tournament. I guess you just went and played games.
I just played a bunch of games this weekend in practice for that tournament.
Because I thought you were saying you took the paint train to an event, but I guess you're sticking to like Saturday game day.
Yeah, it was me and one of the guys were going to play multiple games. So I brought military orders. Mostly because we had a conversation the previous week or two when we were saying about how it's like, or he was saying that it's not as good as it used to be, and like you can deal with it in a lot of ways. I'm like, let's see. And the answer was no. No,
we could not test this theory on you.
Yeah.
How'd that go?
8-0, 10-0.
Against military is destroyed. Get crushed.
I only played the pain train on the second one. The first game was like a mix of like Trinitarians and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But pain train did its job. It's just solid lists.
Yeah,
I don't know if
it's lost a step. It's lost a step with like not being able to cover every range band and have a doctor.
It can. It still does.
But it still can. Like you have to decide what your mix is going to be.
I mean, you can cover every range band and still have a doctor. You don't give anything up for it. The only question is whether or not you bring Kyle.
I was going to say it's Kyle or not. Yeah.
Do you want another button pushy character in the link?
Because it's Kyle or Shotgun, basically. Because you don't get Dr. Shotgun anymore. Otherwise, you get all of it and Kyle.
Yeah. And I mean, I think Kyle's the better way to go, if only because of the scenarios that require you to be a character. And a multi-marksman rifle is a solid weapon that solves problems that the others don't.
It does the thing Defers and Spitfire doesn't, which is it brings AP ammo into that 24-inch brawler band.
Which is the same issue that the HMG that's also in the link has.
Yeah.
It doesn't have it either.
Yeah. No, it's
and then Jones
just
is
Jones can do it inside 16.
Yeah.
And actually, the marksman rifle is still 3 shots. That's right. It doesn't get any burst bonus. So it'd be 4 shots.
No.
It wouldn't have make Defers and Spitfire, but it's still got that range band.
Yep. And I mean, again, it's there to solve a problem, right? And then in ARO, it gives you a second or third guy now who's good up to 24 to 32, or up to 24 at least.
Mhm.
And he's double tapping DA shots.
Are they BS 14 or 15?
14.
Okay.
Jones the 15.
They're not quite. Yeah, they're not quite Swiss guards and the kilo guys.
I mean, they all hit on 17s because they're in a pure team. 20s if they have range mods and you don't have cover. But basically 17s under the assumption that everyone's got cover. And that's real good.
17s is so good.
Hitting 11s with like whatever your select piece is for that range band against in cover min -6 guys with no visors.
Yeah.
You're hitting on like line trooper BS against the hardest to hit people in the game. You're hitting on 8s against that same, like with a -12 mod. Oh no, sorry, you're hitting on 8 to
-9
12 mod. That's crazy for suppressing. I mean,
well, he had what's the Yu Ching Swiss guard? What's he called again? No, the Swiss guard one.
Haqq.
Hacked out.
Yeah, Haqq tried to take down the link, and Joan was just like, "Fuck off," and like did a wound to him and made him retreat. And then he got more desperate and tried to make his play.
That's cute.
And one or two of the Hospitallers just lit him up, and that was that. And like, yeah, he hits on 14s, they hit on 11s. Everyone gets mulligans because nobody's going down in one round of shooting unless someone's really unlucky. And then as soon as the active turn switches, it goes to my favor incredibly. Because he can't link. He's one tap unless he suppresses.
What was the mission? He was trapped in the table with the pain drain with.
Panic room.
Oh God, yeah. That's not great.
I didn't even go in the room. I sent my little like Harris for group 2.
He's still got to circle the room at some point. You know what I mean? Like, and clear it off. So just having to go into the middle of the table with you is not great.
I actually I squared off entirely on one side across his deployment, and then my little Harris of rockets all went into the room, and then the paint train just stood up all linked together on the one side, looking like horizontally across his deployments, and like the space between his deployment and the room.
Walk down the side, yeah.
And it's like, go ahead, walk out. Bixie's pretty good, but not good enough. The monks are all going to die. He makes his play. It doesn't work out, and that's how it went.
I think it's funny because I think that the pain train and like builds like that really do play into your like big payoff play style. As long as I've known you, you've always liked these like aggressive big play. Like if I just T-pose my way into the middle with these huge stats, I should be fine. You know what I mean? Like, and I have a do-over. Like you're stacking the deck basically to like success. And the pain train in particular, I think, because it's so dominant at like its given range band, like you have a 5-man team basically that can pick like the right tool for the right job in any given situation.
I mean, that's kind of true, but my favorite and most iconic list is the opposite, where it's all just like random shitters thrown all over the place.
Yeah.
And it's filled with mulligans.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but that's it, is that it goes both ways in the same list. Like you can make that big pain train, or you can have the Ultratarian Order Sergeant, you know what I mean? Like duplist basically as well.
I find it actually, just thinking about it, it's interesting how there's mulligans in both lists. The mulligan is in the pain train is they have multiple wounds and IR.
Or it's another guy.
And multiple guys. So it's kind of like you have that forgiveness. And then in the spam trooper guys, it's just like, well, there's another one. Like if any one of these goes through, you're dead.
That's what I mean. I think both those things play into Owen's aggressive play style, right? Where it's mathematically it's the same. It's just it's 2 wounds inhabiting one body, or 2 wounds that are just like guys in cargo pants that Owen's gonna send another one to die. To get the job done.
Fire the Panzerfaust.
That's right.
Fire 4 Panzerfaust.
That's right. Yeah. How many standing count markers could this be? I was bemoaning this week the fact that I don't have an Operation Black Wind half because of the 3-day Lamis that come in it. Because I've got one old day Lami painted. I mean, I have old day Lamis to paint up, and I painted one original one, but I kind of want to hold off for the new ones. So my week this week is I played 3 games of Infinity, which was great because I haven't been able to play a lot of Infinity. And playing this Escalation League on the small size and then on the 3x4s meant I could play at the small, like the second the front office. And it also got my hustle going to finish the soundstage in the back so I can play some full-size games. But Jordan and I played a 100-point game, a 150-point game, and a 200-point game. And we played the 200-point game last night, actually, on Sunday. And it was really interesting because, like, it kind of highlighted three things. The first thing was that you need to a 100-point game of Infinity really needs to have its list curated a little bit better. Like I remember when we first started doing them, it was always with those 6-man army starters in N2 and N3. And because they were all designed to represent a different troop type, like almost every single one of those army starters is like 3 line troops, a medium infantry, a skirmisher, and a heavy infantry. So if you played with the starter set against starter set, it was inherently balanced because everybody kind of had a variation of the same stuff. Like you couldn't skew, and they all rounded out to about 100 points. If you have free reign to play 100 points, you can get to dark places really fast. And
we made jokes about that as soon as you said you were doing an Escalation League about how it's like Sujan with 10 orders.
It was fine. It was fine. It was fine as soon as you got to 150 points. It was just a 100-point band that felt really restricted. But the Asawira was like, there's certain combos where like guys are undercosted because they have things like Frenzy. You know what I mean? You can duo them to get rid of it. Like you can basically finagle the list so that you're getting guys that punch above their weight class and you're offsetting their penalties through like just like minor wombo combos. It didn't teach me a lot about Haqq Islam because we played Annihilation, and the Asawira like just started killing and then just didn't stop killing. Like managed to like just doing things like running into a line of 3 guys and then being like, well, I guess I'll CC you, or I guess I'll dodge. And he just shotguns in the wind instead and templates them and they all die. Like he's when you're trapped on a small board with a piece like that, it's very obvious that like you need some sort of like, I think, guidance to write the lists. So I had to rethink that a little bit. But then we got to 150. We played Cutthroat. And that was a lot more like back and forth. We had an extra 50 points, and it gave us some more like options and stuff. I had to fight NCA with like locusts, and then when we got to 200 points, that's when the Swiss Guard showed up, and I went second. And actually, I went first, and the Swiss Guard almost killed my entire army in the first round. Killed my lieutenant. Lost lieutenant the second round because he killed Yara because Yara failed to do anything to him even through smoke. And I was in Lost Lieutenant round 2, but then my Asawira and my IR woke up at a hidden deployment, and the Asawira again like just rampaged through Fusiliers and a Blackfriar and a couple of bolts, like all by his lonesome with his best friend Mr. Govad. So I haven't gotten to play with like a lot of the greatest hit pieces, but next week's 250-point list is going to have a Shihab and a Fide in it, and we're still at the 3x4, like just slightly narrower table size. So I'm excited to actually get to use an impersonation model. And then the week after, that's going to be the 300-point game. When I get my Shakush, he gets to ride. And then the plan is that to end it all off, we're going to do a resilience ops game using reinforcements. And I'll try and paint some odalisks or something like that and have some reinforcements for the list. And that'll end the little league at like a 350-point game.
150 points is a 7-order avatar list.
Sure.
100? Really?
Yeah.
Right. You just bring all the crap.
He brings 2 of the flamethrower bots and then 1 Imatron. And then he's like, well, I'm 4 orders. And then I brought these 3 guys.
But the fact that he's 4 orders by himself is wild.
Mm-hmm.
Go get him, Avatar. Living your best life.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't think of a way, because there was a new guy that was hanging out and we were talking about how to get into the game. And the advice that the other guy was playing with, and then myself, obviously, was honestly pick a faction that you like the look of, because they're all pretty good. Like anything works. Because there are people in the area who know how to play Infinity, you can skip Code 1, because Code 1 works if everyone's new.
Everybody does it. Yeah, exactly.
But if people know, just skip it and go directly to the game. And just paint up 300 points. And just play 300-point games, because anything less than that, other than like very much demo to go, here's how interactions work, you're going to run into challenges.
I would say buy one of the action packs. That'd be my advice, because the action pack gives you like 300 points plus. It gives you some choices. You know what I mean? Like, just grab the action pack for the thing you like.
It's just good value.
Points and go. That's good value too. Yeah, you're right.
Even like the 2-player starters with any of the like Beyonds are solid choices too.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what the action packs are, right? That's that they re-release those 2-player starters with the action packs as the Beyond box. I think that's the one I'm painting up right now is the Haqq one. It's the Tarek from the what was that one called? It was the Rama Task Force starter set. So it's like the
Red Veil,
the Zed,
Red Veil,
all the Mugyibs, the Zaydens, whatever that starter was.
Red Veil.
That's right. I think that's going to be my next army. I think that the building out after the like starting the list, like I've picked my first sectorial. I think Rama's going to be my second sectorial. It's the thing I have the most miniatures for.
The weakest of them, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It used to be QK, but then QK got a buff and Rama got a nerf. And through those powers combined, they switched spots.
It's just my model collection. I'm trying to paint through the collection of models I have. And it means that I can stage my Sonic Butt. I can paint my Janissaries, my Heartless Janissaries. I can paint my Alpha Zed.
Yep.
I have tons of
teams. You got a Zayden box?
Sorry?
You got a Zayden box?
I do have the Zayden box, yeah. I got Quarges, I got Zaydens.
Make a Zayden list work. In theory, it should be great, but it never works out.
Zaydens are basically bolts, aren't they?
They're basically bolts.
Yeah.
And by basically, I mean they're identical to bolts. Only
they don't have BTS 6, which is amazing.
They only have BTS 3, but they do all gain regeneration.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. They have states healing. I forgot about that.
And while they lose a BS, they go to 12 instead of 13. They do keep marksmanship. They do keep veteran.
They keep veteran, yeah.
And then they have a few cute little like BS attack shock on some of their weapons, and they also have access to breaker stuff and missile launchers, which I don't think bolts have.
Breaker is very underrated, I think, as far as weapon. We don't talk about it a lot, but I really like breaker weapons.
Yeah,
I think because they're basically upscaled AP in a lot of cases. Like when you're fighting a tag, they're better AP weapons, right? Because they're going against the lower stat and still having it. So I think breaker
also a 5-man pure link marksmanship missile launcher hitting on 18s is something.
That's not a joke. I mean, just a marksmanship at HFG with BS shock on your lieutenant.
Yeah. I just mean because the missile's only 28 points.
That's cheap.
Like, he's dirt cheap for what he is.
Yeah, and the fact that you don't really need the doctor, I guess they're Fizz 11, so you do kind of need the doctor because it's 50-50 to come back.
They're all doctor +3, right? Oh, yeah. I see what you're saying. To depend on the regenerate. I would bring the doctor just cause. Why not? If you're going to do it.
I mean, he's 4 points more, but he does have that baked in shock, which it's very funny that his oath to do no harm was headshots only.
I mean, the other thing too is he's the only specialist that can join the group. They don't have the choice of paramedic plus hacker. They only get him. So that's a thing.
I've forgotten Zaydens count as Gulams too, so that Nephians and Zaydens both count as Gulams for the core fire team. So you can have a core and a Harris all being pure. With
of all Gulams.
Well, with Chibi Gulams and Zaydens like as your fire team leads, you get a very like efficient fire team mix in this list.
Yeah, the ability to throw in the Gulam hackers, I think, is the real power there.
Or the doctor too, because like he's just a cheap doctor. He's the same exact doctor if you're just using him to be a doctor, right?
I just mean because then he's going to get the 6th sense, and he's high whip, and gets 3 of the flashball spots. So
they have 3 Finuses. Weird.
So you get like a weirdly upgunned hacking. Like I honestly think that there's something to be said about playing Task Force as like a missile bot faction.
But I'm kind of like Nomads.
Yeah, because you have Toregs who are excellent hackers. You have Sunduk Butts for defense. You have that Zayden or Nafatin or Kawari. Then there's also Namurs, and they're a model in the game.
Yeah.
Poor guys. That's another model that I can never figure out. Oh well.
I like them. I like the whatchamacallit as well, the Nafatin, just for like cheap flamethrowers. And maybe someday with the new deck, we'll be able to use Terrain Desert. because it is an extra that could come up now.
I saw that.
Terrain Desert going to be a thing. My Terrain Desert boys might get some rules. And I do want to try I have the Nahabira mobile team too, which I really want to try. The Berserking, like pseudo-heavy infantry, where they're Arm 1, Natural Born Warrior, no wound and cap, Frenzy, Berserk. I think they're very cool. They don't link or anything like that, but, you know, they're cool, weird lead. Oh, they don't jump in either. I thought they were like parachute.
Infiltration or parachute.
Oh, they do parachute. Oh, sorry, you can parachute them. I didn't see it in their core stop block, and I was like, why can't they parachute? They're an aero mobile team.
There's the two sets of profiles.
Yeah,
it's either infiltrator or parachutist.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah. I think parachute is where it's at, though. That killer hacker profile's tasty.
I think this guy prone on a rooftop infiltrating as a killer hacker is not something anyone wants to go dig out.
No.
Because he's got an SMG, emitter, and nanopulse, and then in combat, he's a viral CC.
He's CC 29 when he berserks.
With viral.
Yeah. It's no joke. And Natural Born Warrior. So you probably can't hit him back.
Is he 29? Oh, yeah, martial arts too.
Yeah.
But 1 wound, armor 1.
No wound.
I guess he's no wounding cap, and he is shock immune. Okay, he's got a little bit something.
Yeah, right?
Yep.
If only he had booty so he could fire metachemistry so he could find motorcycle legs. And then he could.
What he really wants is climbing plus. That's what he wants to find in booty.
Yeah.
Or metachem rather.
Yeah. I like the 8-4 movement so you can berserk 12 inches. That would make me happy. I'll take that instead. And Fizz 13. The one thing that came up a bunch of times in the 3 games I played this week is the key ops. If you can give Asawira +3 dodge and attack aware, it is a recipe for melee. Like dodging on 17s and then running into melee if he wants 6 inches, or berserking 8 if he has to. He will stab a bunch of guys to death. It was very funny, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. He was completely covered in Fusilier blood at the end of every game, like head to toe. It was very Tucker and Dale in the Book of Evil from the amount of blood that was on him. All right, well, I guess we should get into the mailbag, as it is.
I guess me and I decided to split Acheron's Fall.
Oh, that's right. This week you guys did. Did you back the Kickstarter?
Yeah.
We should talk about it. Why don't we we'll make that our main segment. We'll talk about Acheron's Fall and all the research you guys did on it. We'll do the mailbag, and then we'll make that the main segment, is talking about space trucks.
I also played a game of NCA.
Oh, you played as NCA?
Yep.
Oh,
because I painted 25 Pano models this week.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Neoterra's
you say
easy mode.
What did you use, an Ulan?
Did I use an Ulan?
Yeah,
no,
I used a
Squallow.
Interesting.
A Squallow and
What do you mean easy mode?
I can win every face to face, and my opponent has to struggle to figure out tricks to fight me.
See, I like NCA. Don't get me wrong. I played NCA for years, but I don't think they're easy mode. They have some distinct like gaps in their list creation where they skew either very cheap or very expensive. And that's let
me tell you about bolts then.
Yeah, I know.
They kind of solve that problem where you go 130 point link that it's better shots than everybody else.
They're good. Oh, don't worry, they're good, but they still dodge like templates like everybody else.
If they get there.
Their defensive stats. Well, yeah, I guess. Bring out sniper so you can see through smoke. Can't get snuck up on.
Hits on 19s.
Sure.
If anyone shoots him from out of line of fire, he just shoots them anyway on 19s. Mm-hmm. At worst, you can get him down to as a 16. Active turn, you just remove things. They no longer have the 4-2 movement, so they can just go do objectives and stuff.
Yeah, the 4-4 is a big blow for them.
And then they really don't even need to activate, because you can just have another what they call it, Harris team of Fusiliers or a tag, or you could take one of the dozen solid solo pieces, or for example, you could have your off link be 2 Fusiliers and a Bulleteer, and then you could have a marksmanship bot handing out marksmanship to your Bulleteer, and now you have this active killing piece and still afford a tag.
Do it. Make NCA great again, Owen.
I'm not gonna.
Make Pano great again.
It's fine. I played 3 games of Pano this weekend, and I won every game, I can thus retire saying
Just
Pano's
retire-
perfectly
retire
fine.
defeated.
And anyone who says otherwise is just bad.
Based on my purely anecdotal experience of one weekend, I've solved Pano.
Based on my weekend and 3 games of Pano, I have established that Pano is perfectly balanced, and anyone who thinks otherwise is just bad at the game. Pano's in a great place.
such sage wisdom.
It's so easy. All you need is for
Scientific.
your opponent to drop in with his Emarat, miss your Squallow, and then get killed. And then when he stands up with his burst 5 machine gun, your bolt just kills him. Like, just win. It's easy.
You just roll good, stupid. Have you tried doing that? God.
Mhm.
All right.
Have you
wow.
considered critting 4 times consecutively? 'Cause it makes you a good player.
It makes you a great player. It's what winners do. We just try winning more. If you just win harder, then everything would go your way. All
You
right.
think about what you're doing, and then you do it better, you'll win.
With that sterling wisdom from Owen's weekend playing Pano, let's move on to the mailbag and see what you guys are wonderful. You put in lots of questions. We'll take 3 this week and work our way forward. So the first one's from Thang. It's for everybody. And it says, I'm considering getting an airbrush. Is it worth it for painting infinity models? And if so, is there a good beginner airbrush to get? Anybody want to try? I have some opinions on this one, but you guys want to jump on that?
I don't know anything about paint, all that kind of crap. I've debated back and forth for so many years, and I'm just like, eh. And that's all I have to say about that.
I've only ever used my airbrush for big things.
Yeah. Rattle canning, in contrast, is just fine for infinity.
Yeah.
I would say airbrushes have tools. I don't tend to use my airbrush too much for infinity miniatures, to be honest. For exactly the same reason as Owen and Dan, I tend to just, if I do airbrush, it's to get some like core colors down or to get like a core tone, and then it's not a full highlight down. And then I mostly just use contrast paints over top of that and then highlight them. I don't tend to airbrush them very much, mostly because I just it's more time to do that than it is to just paint them, just spray paint them and get painting. That being said, I do have a Steiner Haqq Infinity Series airbrush. I like it a lot. I've put tons of paint through it. I use it for all kinds of other things too, especially like detailing terrain and bigger projects. It's had a lot of years running on it now, and it's starting to break down, so I gotta buy a new one too. I'll probably just buy another one. I like that Infinity airbrush. It's good stuff. And you can get them here in Ontario at Lloyd's of Wargames and Hobbies, and Chris and Jay will actually like maintain it too. So I actually should go to the shop and have them clean the one I have, because it's starting to fall apart. It's in rough shape, and I'm not as good at cleaning airbrushes as I should be.
I have a Badger. It does its job.
Patriot 105, man. It's a great airbrush.
Yep. Go over to Michael's. Use your 50% off coupon.
That's what we did. Actually, I don't think they sell them anymore, which is sad. I don't think Michael's
You
sells them.
deserve to have your windows smashed, Michael's.
That's right? They used to sell that, and they used to sell the Patriot 105, which is where you and I both got ours, and then they sold the other one. Oh shit, what was that company called? But they don't sell any of it anymore. They sell crappy little like kids hobby plastic kind of airbrushes, but they don't sell real airbrushes anymore. Or any airbrush stuff, they got rid of it completely, which is a giant pain. That being said, you can order Patriot 105s directly from, and they do a sale every year from Badger, and they're great starter airbrushes. They're super resilient. They're real easy to clean, and they'll do they don't do precision stuff, but for getting started on airbrushing, they're what I'd recommend, because they'll do the broadest scope of like big to small stuff. And you'll hear a million talking heads on the internet trying to sell you an airbrush through like their affiliate links and stuff like that. Those are all great airbrushes. You don't need to spend more than $100 on an airbrush and get a good compressor that has like pressure control. You can get those. Like Canadian.
Certainly, if you're going from zero to airbrush.
Exactly. Yeah. Get something you can wreck and not feel too bad about it to get started, and then once you're comfortable with it, start looking at a more precision thing.
Then get a giant Iowata fucking air compressor.
The giant rolling one that you got from Adam. I love that.
Yep.
Yeah, it looks like it's meant for like power washing
I
cars.
use it for bludgeoning people to death or tying it to somebody's ankles and putting them in the lake, and then I go and fish it back out again.
That's it. Yeah, when it comes out clean. All right, this one's from Paul. It's for everybody. It says, what are your thoughts on the narrative missions, such as the ones released for Outrage, where you play narrative mode? I'd love to see you guys playing some of those missions. Well, we're planning on playing the Outrage ones at some point. I love those missions. I just wish My thing with all those Infinity missions from the books is they don't go far enough. They don't go all the way to like asymmetrical, to like attacker defender missions. And what's funny is that those scenarios come up a lot in like the comic books and the novels. I would like to see that stuff get reflected more. I'd like to see like bank heists and infiltration missions and like just weirder stuff. If you're gonna go narrative, go like full narrative. Use like prescribed like force construction and offset like deployments and stuff. Like it a lot of times I think the narrative missions in the Infinity rulebooks still try to be balanced where they should just be fun. You know what I mean? Where like, yeah, the odds can be against you sometimes, and then if something cool happens, you actually feel better about it. You know what I mean? Like I think Infinity's a game where the unlikely happens often enough that you can have weird missions, and no matter what the result of those missions are, the result is still fun to play through. And I think that's the important thing with missions of that type. So I think they should go further, honestly, and be crazier. But
wow, but there's no like. Go ahead.
Yeah, go for
People are so afraid of like narrative asymmetric stuff because they're like, oh, it's going to break the game. It's not going to be fun. And you're like, look, you don't play these every time over and over and over again like you do the regular missions. Because the regular missions, you want to solve it as much as you can or figure it out and then play optimally. And the other person is doing the same thing, and that's the game. When you're playing narrative, you just try to make it work. And you have no idea if you brought the right thing because it's an off the wall scenario. You're like, I don't know. It's like the first time playing B-Pong. You're like,
it's D&D. The point's the experience, not the win-lose.
You're like, I don't know what's going on. And then sometimes you're like, oh wow, that was really, really good. I didn't think that was going to be that good. And it's just interesting and fun. And then it's over, and you're not going to play that scenario really again, probably. And you move on to another one, and that's the fun part of it, is that it's not solved. It's not, you don't know what's good or what's not, and you just figure it out and just have a good time. And there needs to be more of that. And there's too many people that are trapped behind like it was so hard to get, like even War Machine days, to get anyone to play any game that was like off. And I don't know if I've talked about on this podcast, but this one guy, I have a trophy. It's like a wedding topper, and it's Love Machine first place.
We did actually talk about this, I think, early on, but tell the story again for everybody listening.
Basically, a local YouTuber and community builder, Mr. Malorian, hosted a tournament where you'd bring 2 Warcasters instead of just one. In a War Machine, if you lost your Warcaster, you lost the game. But in this version, if you lost either of your Warcasters, you lost the game. And so the combination of 2 together would be the most broken, crazy stuff that you'd seen. And it was trying to like, how do I do it better than the other person? And you don't know, because there was not really time to do any practice games or anything. I think I played one practice game and I was like, oh, I'll do this. And he's like, oh, you lose. I was like, wait, oh, you're not allowed to lose one? Well, I'm glad I know that now. And that's like all the practice game I got. It was like, and so it was just a lot of fun. And I ended up getting first place, but it was just, I think, more luck of the dice than anything. It was just but it was just weird scenarios where it's like your lovers and both your Warcasters have to get across the map together or something like that. And then the last scenario was your Warcasters both had a baby together, and it was a combination of them both. And you just only got the one Warcaster for the last game, but it was like a super Warcaster. And it was just complete nonsense. It was a really good time. It was poorly attended, which was really sad. But like the 10 to 15 of us that showed up was like, and then at that time there would be like 30 to 40 people showing up to the tournaments. So it was just kind of, I don't know. It was just, I mean, I won, so it's a better memory, but it was a great memory regardless of just, and I wish we would do more things like that, even if I lost horribly.
I think it's cool that you can remember moments from that War Machine game, and you cannot probably remember moments from almost any other War Machine game. Does that make sense? Like, I think that's what the important point is that like, you probably played hundreds of games of War Machine, but those memories have actually stuck, whereas like some other random tournament game of like an actual like stakes, trying to win tournament, you can't actually remember the details of compared to that.
It's definitely the games where I was bringing something a little more wonky or something more fun, and it was like pulling off crap of like, this typically isn't done and people aren't expecting it, and like, hey, I made it work, or I didn't quite make it work, but it like almost worked. And I was like, those are always the games that sit in my mind most.
Right. Well,
I can't believe there's not a mission or a scenario that's been made for Infinity that involves survive until the helicopter gets there, and one side has a bunch of shitters and the other side doesn't.
Right?
Like, where's my scenario where like you can only use like Fusiliers and the other guy can only use models that cost more than 40 points, and no matter what, if a Fusilier dies, you just put a new one on the table in your deployment zone.
Yeah. Or like a Predator style mission where like there's like a squad of guys that's trying to get across from one side of the table to the other. They have like limited movement. There's some giant 75-point thing hunting them. You know what I mean? Like the narrative of the game lends itself to exactly what you're talking about, Owen. So it is crazy that they haven't gone that route really in the narrative missions yet. We played that zombie game. That was fun.
Yeah. But I mean, that was a thing that we had to make.
That's what I mean. Right? Yeah. Like, and it was completely fine. Like we did that. Remember, we also used the Infinity rules to play a fantasy game once. We wrote that fantasy mod for it.
that had more problems. That needed to go through a couple more drafts before it became a viable thing.
Yeah, it needed a few more drafts before it went live. But it was a cool idea.
Yeah,
we did like a fantasy rule set that was Infinity. It was interesting. Yeah. It was interesting because it had far less shooting, and so there's a lot more melee, which made it weird.
Yeah.
All right, so the OMC asks for all of us. Last night, my dog knocked over the table I had with 5 tags I was putting together on it and shattered everything. I left the room and then completely lost my shit. I know it's too late for Halloween, but what are your worst modeling or horror hobby horror stories? Let's start with Dan. What's the most tragic hobby moment you've had?
Oh, anytime I hand something over to my friend Brandon, he just drops it.
Okay.
He's like, "This is cool."
That just sounds like that's your fault. Like if you
you should have learned by now.
This does seem like a Lucy in the football kind of thing where it's like you just keep handing him things and he keeps screwing them up. Like,
no, he's not that
bad. Going into this story anymore, Dan.
There's been an inordinate amount of things dropped, but I think that's mostly I'm sitting in my poorly lit room painting, and I'll be like gluing something together, or it wasn't glued as well as I thought it was, or something happens, and then it's just like a ding, and it falls, and it just disappears. And no matter how long you look, you never find that piece, and you hope it's not like a big piece or an important piece, and you're like, ugh. It's always a little fiddly crap. You're like, why is this here? And it's like, you usually get away with it, but you always know it's missing when you're playing with the model on the table. Nobody notices because it's just fun, tiny little Infinity people, and you're not putting in any kind of close-up jumbo picture, whatever, show off your amazing.
Yeah, but you know,
so you know, but nobody gives a crap anyways. But like you're like, and then secondly is knocking over a paint pot of wash or contrast paint.
Yeah,
because it's just such high pigment, and it's just like stains everything, and it's like, dude, the bottles are not cheap. It's just like,
you guys actually made a stand to prevent that from happening. It was like a wash holder, so like you couldn't possibly do it. That you would put your wash in to keep it from getting knocked over. It's very funny.
See, I wouldn't even use it though, because I like having like all these things, and I like hop around, pop. It'd be too much work to put it inside a stand.
Oh no, yeah. There's no, my brain wouldn't remember it at that moment. You know what I mean? Like, there's no way.
But as for like massive things like breaking, nothing's really happened too bad. It's been pretty good.
I think Owen could tell the wings snapping off story again, but I feel like there's got to be something else.
That's not even like a bad thing. Like, that's not like a worst. Yeah, I did it, and I do it again.
Oh no, I've got one. Your Haqq car and your colossals.
Oh yeah, I was mad about that. That was bullshit. The War Machine colossals, like, so you buy these like 8-inch tall robot models, and they're like half metal, half resin, and it's like 22 degrees Celsius outside, so it's like what, like 30 something Fahrenheit, and it's sitting in the back seat.
About 70 Fahrenheit.
Whatever it is, I don't know what these numbers are.
you just went from room temperature to like 30 below or 20 below freezing almost.
See, this is what's throwing me off, is that everywhere around here it's always like 30 Fahrenheit.
Yeah, 30 Fahrenheit is freezing. 32 is freezing.
Right, but that's the temperature here. I've become accommodated with that.
Oh,
It's
that's right, yeah,
always
seriously,
30-ish degrees outside because it's
Right.
always like 2 here. But anyway, yeah, I bought this Colossal, and in the time it took me to go inside and play like 2 rounds or something like that, he fucking melted. Like,
Oh, this thing, it was so, he looked so sad, and then he looked like he was limboing. He looked like Hermes in Futurama.
like the joints, like the torso and the body of it, like melted backwards and then fused together so that he was always leaning back. Like
Limbo, baby, limbo.
he went from like, if he was a 90-degree, he went to like an 80-degree stance.
His like shitty ankles. He looked like he was Neo trying to dodge a bunch of bullets at the end of the Matrix.
Yeah.
Wait, which Colossal was this?
The Judicator.
The
I
Judicator.
still have it. He's in a solid piece. He doesn't come apart. Like, it just stays together now.
Just
Don't
he
you
like,
have like 3 of them?
Yeah, but this is one of them.
like frosting on a cake. He like his ankles melted and he bent all the way backwards. It was, you were so mad. I remember you stopping in the studio being like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah. Oh, and remember too that this is like $160 model, right?
Oh yeah.
And like, I don't know. That was where I was like, I'm not gonna buy any resin miniatures from this company because like I've had resin miniatures, I've had Forge World miniatures, I've had GW, I've had like random off brands. I have never had them just melt like that.
Their resin quality was all over the place. They
in just like sitting in your car on a sunny afternoon, like
hot. It wasn't summer.
Yeah, it was like August, like, or not August, sorry, April.
April,
just sitting out there in like the spring. I wasn't wearing I think I was even wearing a sweater that day, like a sweatshirt.
Droopy.
Like,
oh, you got so droopy. Just had a sad limbo in the back window of your car.
Yeah.
So
and again, he's not in the window. He's not in the window. He was sitting on like the floor of the back seat.
Yeah.
And just gone. Ridiculous. Anyway, that's it. That's other than that, I treat my models like shit, and I don't care if they break.
I know you don't. I've had several instances of what we came to call. So there was an era at Games Workshop where there was this incredible matte varnish, and it was like the best matte varnish, the best sealer. It like, because this is before Citadel Shades, this is before contrast paint, this is, you know, the aughts. Still using inks to do all of like your detail work on miniatures. And so you very often, because you're using inks, have like a certain shine on the models, right? The inks would tend to like go glossy when they were in the recesses. And this matte varnish was great because it would take the shine right out of it, and it would just get everything to a nicer like satin finish. But these cans were notorious for like 1 in every 100 cans. There was one that was basically going to flame throw white specks all over your model. It was just like badly mixed, or like the propellant was bad. They were kind of touchy to humidity and stuff too, and temperature. And I remember vividly spending all this time painting this like dreadnought, and then taking them outside and spraying them, and having this like moment where in like slow motion, I'm watching the like confetti come out of this can of primer of dull coat, and just completely ruin the miniature I've just spent like hours painting. And I was crushed. And I got so nervous. Like the quest for the perfect, like even if it wasn't the best looking, but it was the most consistent, like dull coat was a big thing for me for a long time. So that was number 1. But the most tragic horror story actually wasn't that long ago. It was when, and this is completely my fault. This is my idiot stick brain. I've stayed up like until like 1 o'clock in the morning painting the Warhammer Underworld's Shade Spire starter set that I got early from Games Workshop. And I was on my way to the studio to go record like a Let's Play with it with Chris from Lords of War. And I get in my car, I dropped the kids off to school. I'm going to go drop the kids off at school at daycare because they were super young then. And I get like halfway down the road and I look at the seat next to me, and the miniatures I had just finished dull coating, and they were on like a piece of cardboard with some like double-sided tape to like stick them down. And they're not there. I'm like, what the hell? And I look behind me and I can see, because it's about like February or March, I can see this piece of cardboard blowing in the wind in my car. And I realize I've stuck it on the roof of the car while I was getting the kids in the car. and then driven away with it on the roof of my car. And I have to stop the car in the middle of the road, go outside, and try and collect these, I think, 8 or 9 miniatures and try and find them. And one of them got run over by a car behind me. And his hand is missing his fingers in like a perfect row. The rest of them were fine, like kind of dinged up. I picked them back together. But I was seething because I'd stayed up so late getting them painted so we get this like thing recorded. And I was absolutely seething at how stupid I was for leaving them out of my car and driving off, and dropping the kids off at school. So that was my horror story. I will never forget the sense of absolute like self-loathing and disappointment that I had brought this on myself, and clearly it was my fault, and I screwed it up. So that's it. That's our questions for this week. We got 2 more.
I have a minor one.
Okay, go for it.
I was priming some miniatures outside, and I had an orc buggy, but the back kind of like thin on the back of like one of the rocket ones, so it wasn't glued on as solid as I thought it was. And so I was like holding it up by just the fin to like spray paint most of it, and then just put it down and spray paint the fin on top. But I had about, I don't know, like 20 different goblins and different things. It was like, or no, it was a bunch of Gretchen. It was a ton of crap all on this like piece of cardboard, kind of like balanced on like my porch railing outside. And so I'm holding this thing, and it like breaks and it falls, and I'm just jerk reaction trying to catch it. And when I grab it to catch it, I flip the cardboard, and everything just goes,
Oh,
and then it just rained, and it was like this big bush there, and they just all went and disappeared into like this wet bush.
that's the worst.
And I laughed. I went inside for like 2 hours. I was like, I'm not dealing with this right now. And then I went out afterwards, and I was able to find every single one. Luckily, I knew how many were on the thing, because I had to search like for a good 10, 15 minutes of like really digging in through all this stuff. But I don't know. It was a funny experience. It was like, Dan, you're an idiot. But also,
those moments where you've screwed something up yourself are the worst. You know what I mean? Like where there's no one else is to blame.
Luckily, I hadn't painted it nicely. It was just base coat, so there wasn't anything to really ruin. It was just making sure you had all the pieces of that stupid, expensive plastic.
Roger that. Well, okay. So we're done for the week. We got 2 questions left in the mailbag. So go and ask questions. We'll post the link in, of course, the description for the podcast, and also at the Tactical Awareness Discord channel. So let's get into our main event then and talk about some Acheron Falls, because the crowdfund is running right now. And I didn't realize it was going to be more than just the ships and the core star set, but I guess they're previewing all kinds of ships now. So what did you guys go in for? What was you guys have been sleuthing on this, so give me the deets.
Yeah. We went back and forth of like, nah, just wait till it comes out. It's going to come out on Tabletop Simulator, so we can get all the rules and play with it and like whatever. And it was just kind of like, and I was like, actually, this looks like a fun game. Like, it just looks neat. I'll have fun playing it. Like we played what's the 40K one?
BFG.
We only played
Battlefield Gothic.
Yeah, so we actually have never played on the miniature game, but we played a lot of like the video games together, and it's just like space combat's fun. It's just there's no way around it, and it was like hum, and finally it was like, all right, let's split it. And so then we bought the Commander Pledge, I think it's called.
Cool.
So we get the main box,
all the things,
which is
there's a Pano frigate, a U-Chain cruiser, a new destroyer. Looks like it's from Onyx or Combined Army. It's like a squid.
I think a Combined Army one.
You get a gift bag. You get some coins. And obviously this guy is actually I see the Commander Pledge, 185 euros, and it's only running for 2 more days. So like by the time this podcast comes out, it'll be closed. But it looks like quite a bit of stuff now. What comes in the core box? It looks like the core box
comes with 4 ships. So what you were just reading out was stretch goals that everyone would get no matter what they've ordered.
Mm-hmm. It looks like these are like the little ships to go with each of the capital ships that you get in the main.
No, they're all big ships. I'm pretty sure.
A frigate, a cruiser, and a destroyer aren't the size of, I think, like the capital. So it looks like the capital ships are the core ships, and then these are like the little backup ships.
The mechanics of the game that I've seen don't allow for multiple ships.
Oh, really? Okay, it's just like one per player.
Yeah, I might be wrong about that. Maybe
That's
there
cool.
is a way you could do it, and I'm sure like you could just give a guy 2 sheets kind of thing. But like the cursory and a little bit more into it, it appears to be you each just control a single ship, and you do a lot of like power management, maneuver management, crew management.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you have like 30 colored cubes to your dame. I don't know if that's right. Maybe
The
like
dashboards look pretty big, yeah. It uses the revolutionary IME inertial mass effect, a movement system that faithfully represents the inertia of these large ships in space. And then you suffer realistic damage, losing capabilities, crew, and weaponry, and much more. So it looks like there's like a critical hit thing where like creatures to die.
Multiple instances of health bars. So like it doesn't seem like it's going to encourage you because the granularity on the ships is pretty high to be able to run like a squadron.
Mm-hmm. It's more of like a duel than it is. It looks a little more Battlestar Galactica than it looks.
they say it's designed to play up with 8 players. I don't know.
But again, I think it still just encourages that it's 8 people each using their own ship.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So the main box comes with 4, and then there's the Last Wave expansion, and that comes with another 4. And with each ship, you get a ship panel and a miniature stand and a miniature and armament equipment cards and captain cards and all the stuff that goes with it. Blah 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 blah.
It looks like the game table is not too huge either. It looks like it's like a 3x3, like an X-wing size table. Because if you're only using a couple ships, you don't need a giant table either. I'm into that. I'm into not having like I'm into like the simulation being a little tighter than having these like vast distances with these tiny ships. Like the ships should they look cooler on a small table because you can kind of zoom in on them. There's not going to be a lot of ships.
It's a 3x3 foot mat.
Yeah, so it's X-wing sized. That's cool. Has there been like a gameplay video? People like played it and put it there as like tabletop simulator?
Not really. They kind of like refer to things, but basically, you plan out all your moves and you move around, you play cards, and you sometimes just like randomize the initiative order, which is kind of neat. And then you can play cards to shift initiative order. But like I always like whether it's naval combat or space combat of where when you're moving and there's like wind or there's something, or you're firing weapons, or I think there's a mechanic in the game where you like shoot missiles and like the missiles can be like homing, but they kind of act on their own. And
the torpedo system from BFG.
It's just same as that torpedo system where like they have like a track torpedo or you have dumb torpedoes and the dumb torpedoes will just keep going forever. And smart torpedoes can like turn and stuff. Is it D12 or is it bespoke dice? Looks like it's D12.
See, the thing that, and like your questions tie to the reason that I was so hesitant in not wanting to bag it is why is there no let's play? Like you can clearly see in all of their marketing material there and their advertisements and even the video for it, there's very obviously a full functioning set. Like this isn't, we're doing a Kickstarter in order to create this thing. We've already made the demo version of it and now we're just going to sell it. It's cool that you're telling me about this inertia system and like you're telling me about how I'm going to track all my crew. Why don't you just film yourselves playing a game of it? Like, where's the video?
I'm looking at the game found info. There's like a guy sitting and talking about it.
That's what I mean. There's a ton of that. There's a ton of stuff talking about it, but there isn't just 2 people sitting there going, let's play the game together. And it's very strange to me. I don't know why that's not
They have like little mini videos where like this is this phase and they like show a video of some guy moving some tokens around, but like not in any kind of context.
Yeah, and not in the act react kind of way that you want.
There's a Let's Play. It's by
You found one?
Tabletop, it looks like.
I guess I just missed it.
We're lazy.
It makes sense it's the on tabletop guys because they get paid to do all the Infinity stuff. They did like the campaign and all those things.
Looks like you get 25 colored cubes per ship.
Yeah, there's a Let's Play. I'm looking at Ramper Designs. Let's Play Acheron's Fall.
There you go.
Months ago. They're playing the actual game. I'll link it to you guys.
So just briefly, in the main box, you get a Pano multi-purpose cruiser, Yujing destroyer, a combined heavy cruiser, and a Morat assault frigate that just looks like a gun. It's kind of donkey looking.
Yeah. It looks like we're playing 2-on-2 in this one. It looks like there's 2 human ships and 2 alien ships, and that's like the thing. It's like you're mixing and matching alien ships and human ships. So it looks like they got more than one here, and it looks like a little ship and a big ship on each side.
Yeah. The last wave expansion has basically 4 combined ships. So just different styles. It looks like you get the Shizvasti and the Onyx, and then some other wonky ones that who knows the symbols. And then Blockade Runners is the other expansion where you get a Haqq Islam, an Ariadna, an O12, and a Nomad ship.
Neat. That looks neat. I'm excited to hear more about it. But it definitely has, it's giving me vibes of like a like more granular sort of like BFG game or Dropfleet Commander.
What I'm kind of excited about is it's going to be simple, where it's just kind of like you throw the ship on and you have all your little systems and it's a duel where you just kind of move the stuff around.
That is the best part of spaceship games. They take about 5 minutes to paint, and then the gaming mat does all the heavy lifting, and then the components in the box do all the heavy lifting. So you can literally be like, you can spend a lot of time on the ships if you want, or you can have them done in 5 minutes and be playing the game just plenty. And I kind of like the idea that it's just humans versus aliens, so like you don't have to worry about the faction stuff so much, and like the ships can have their individual characteristics be like what nation built them, which is the hyperpowers made them. That's cool.
Kind of annoying is that they have additional ships as add-ons that they're revealed where you just pay extra. It's like 18 euros. And it's like you can get an Aleph Neo Cruiser or the Yamato JSA battleship or the Defiant.
The Yamato looks cool as hell. I love the fact that there's a Starship Yamato.
I don't know. I'm torn.
I knew Dan was complaining about it earlier, and I was thinking about it when you were saying we were going to talk about it. I'm like, Ash is going to love it. He's going to be like, Yamato's so cool. And then I was just sitting here waiting until that came up.
Okay, go on. I just love that. It's one of my favorite anime movies. That the Space Battleship Yamato is like a classic like anime. So go on and tell me why.
I don't know. It looks like a boat.
It's the whole point. It's a Star Blazers. It's a riff on an anime. Like they're doing their Infinity thing where they're making a reference. That's why.
Yeah, I guess they just deal. But why would it look like a boat?
Because it's the same reason why one of the Morlocks looks like Colossus. It's a reference.
It looks stupid.
Yeah, okay, there you go. It does. To anyone who doesn't recognize the weebiness of it, I'm sure it does look very stupid.
The Aleph Cruiser, I don't think someone posted online of like, this is what is it, Maximus's pleasure cruiser.
Oh god, yes. I just imagine Maximus sitting in there like the Hulk on Sakaar, where he's just got his big throne room with his big sexy hot tub. He's just sitting there in his power armor, being giant man.
It's like when you look at scale comparison, it's like 3 times the size of the Yujing like cruiser or the whatever fighter, and it's like fucking massive, and it's like this is the most advanced human sphere ship in existence, and you're like, it's a pleasure cruiser.
Yeah, man, dude, he's got his sponsorship money still from Aristea. He's got like he's the version of like Jordans. He's probably getting paid residuals for his Air Maxes, his Air Maximuses. You know what I mean? Like, he's probably getting
straight up the steel phalanx transport.
Yeah, living fat and happy on all of his sponsorships and all of his like advertising. Guaranteed. Go Maximus. He's living that life, baby. On his pleasure barge. He's like Jeff Goldblum in the Ragnarok. Yeah, it's awesome. Sweet. Well, I'm excited to hear more about spaceships when spaceships come in. Obviously, when you guys are hearing this podcast, spaceship crowdfunding will be over. But if you're excited about spaceships, tell us in the comments and hit us on my Discord to talk about it.
It's a little too late, but what's cool about like the stretch goals is like, I mean, the stretch goals are always weird because you're like, just give me the game. But there's another panel frigate, another Yujing cruiser, another combined army destroyer, and a Morat cruiser. So that's all just kind of for free. You don't have to pay anything extra. That's nice. And it includes the tabletop simulator mod, which I mean, sure, they'll have a paid version of it. Obviously, people will make a free version of it as well. But just having everything online so you can just play it and test it out is really nice. Mm-hmm. That they're not shying away from it. They're like, yeah, someone's going to make it anyway, so we might as well get ahead on it and do it anyways. And so it's like, if you don't know if you're going to pick it up or not, Tabletop Simulator is a great place to start.
It looks like, you get a playmat too.
You have to pay for the playmat.
I mean, you have to pay for all of this, but you can get.
No, but I mean, the plane that's an additional cost.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, yeah.
Like the Aleph Pleasure Cruiser.
It looks like to get the whole meal deal, it's 185 plus 55's 240. Blockade runners and the last wave come in the commander pledge.
Dude, you can get a dice tray for 15 euros. You can get a T-shirt.
No, I'm just trying to get the extra cruisers, like to have everything. What's in the Bolo Crisis, the narrative campaign? So you're looking at 285 plus the Defiance. That's cool. You can get the ship from the last one. So 285, it's 299 plus 36 is 335 bucks. 335 euros to get the whole shebang, including a game mat, the obstacles, and all the ships.
Basically, Canadian, me, Owen and I are going to be around $150 each.
Yeah.
And when you think of like how much we spend on other miniatures and stuff, that's like just a few boxes of stuff. So,
and this is probably going to be a complete game that you're never going to have to buy anything else forever. It'll be one and done.
Yeah, who knows? I don't even know if we'll be able to play with all the ships that we're going to get. I guess how many times we're going to play it, but maybe it'll be a hit. Maybe we'll play lots.
Well,
it's kind of like
I feel like it's one of those
time to stop thinking about it. And
if there's only two factions, and the ship depth will let you do different kinds of combos. You know what I mean? That'll be it.
Yeah.
Sweet. Well, there we go. Well, another
this will actually be the first and only Kickstarter that I've backed.
I backed the Reaper Bones one. That was my jam. That was all I backed.
That was value, man. That was good value.
Dude, I painted most what was in that Kickstarter. It was great.
Anytime I see them, they just have this wall of add-ons, and it is an immediate no thanks. Nope. I've watched too many Kickstarters go, we're going to add all these excellent stretch goals, and then they just destroy their own ability to ship their product, and it makes me sad every time. And I know it's mostly video games. One of them is popular in and of itself, and it's just like, what?
What video game's popular? What are you talking about?
Our good friend Star Citizen.
I don't know the sound behind that, but from the tone of your voice, I can imagine Star Citizen's a whole ass thing.
Dude, how many millions of dollars did they raise?
$500 million as of September 2022.
Sorry, pardon me?
Yeah. Over the course of its campaign, which began, this video game started its Kickstarter in September of 2012. Pre-production began in 2010. It is nowhere close to coming out.
Wow.
I think I pledged like $15. I think I was able to launch I was able to go into the hangar and walk inside my little dinky ship that came with my pledge, and it was glitchy, and that was like
this looks
7
like
years
EVE
ago.
Online on crack is what this looks like from my Googling. Is that what I'm looking at? Is it like EVE Online, but mixed with you can get out of your ship?
No, it's a better example would be it's the new Bethesda game, but multiplayer.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. But what? But multiplayer?
Because this whole thing is supposed to be it's like an MMO where everyone's in a big universe together.
That always ends poorly.
But I mean,
it says here I can play it right now. Play Star Citizen, the Sci-Fi Adventure. It says I can play it right now.
Do it. Play it.
Can I? Does it work?
You'll be on some kind of server, and it isn't fully released, and they're working on this, and this part of it doesn't work, and blah blah blah.
But they'll still sell me a starter pack, even though it doesn't work.
You can buy a $50,000, like $50,000 actual dollars, aircraft carrier that you can start with.
I can spend $50K on a digital aircraft carrier.
Buy ship for Star Citizen. What's the most expensive one? I believe it's the Impound. Nope, that's not it. Different thing. Star Citizen purchasing ships. Well, why is it so hard to find now?
Probably because it was illegal. They pulled it down.
Oh, it's definitely not been illegal because it's no different than just doing exactly what we're doing by buying these extra ships for this upcoming Kickstarter. Except
digitally and in a game that doesn't work, it sounds like.
Sounds like it hasn't been released yet.
It's all like there's definitely a wait, I have to click that I understand and have read the PC specs. I have to have at least 64-bit Windows 8 and Windows 10 anniversary update 64-bit, a DirectX 11.1 graphics card, and 3 gigabits of RAM. 4 is strongly recommended. A quad-core CPU with AVX instructions. and 16 plus gigs of RAM is strongly recommended. This looks stupid.
It looks so cool, and I was like, yeah, cool. I'll send. It was only like $15 or something, but it was just kind of like, maybe it'll come out in like 3-4 years. It'll be the coolest game ever.
I mean, by then I can probably just go to space in VR. I'll just wait for that.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So show me
this. If you go to robertspaceindustries.com, you can look at you can go to ships, and then if you go to the bottom, you go price range over $400, and you can just filter to that one. And there are a lot here. How much is this multi-role light carrier? Technical overview, variance matrix, all of its mass and blah 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 blahs. How much does it cost to buy this? I want to buy it.
Special kind of nerd.
How do I add it to my cart?
$100. Trying to find it.
It's ridiculous.
View specs and options. The Polaris Corvette is in concept. I don't think I can actually buy it.
You can definitely buy them. Maybe you can't buy them anymore. That's entirely possible.
It looks like somebody phoned in a complaint. I don't see any price on any of that stuff. I see
there were some pretty major. There's some pretty major lawsuits involving refunds and stuff with this.
Right. I was going to say maybe what they've done is they've made it all the costs are all in-game money, and then you do that thing where you buy in-game money for real money, and so they hide the costs a little bit.
But anyways, Acheron Falls. Maybe it'll come out someday, and we'll have some fun with it.
I'm excited for you guys, and we'll do an episode on it. It'll be fantastic. All right, well, there we go. Have a great night, everybody. Go fill up our questions on Patreon, not Patreon, on the Google Doc, and for all of you guys listening on Patreon, we love you so much. And
Give us money.
All right, everybody.
Thanks.